are very honored to be here. We're going to be covering it. It's a summit that's going to take place for the next 4 days.
Thank you, America First! Thank you, Stop the Steal!
With my sister Elizabeth Etzinson, we are at the turning point.
Shlama, shalom, and salam to one and all. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mona Kay Show. I'm your host, Mona Kay Oshana. For those of you that are family to the Mona Kay Show, welcome. Everybody knows what Shlama, shalom, and salam means. For those of you tuning in for the first time, those are the three Semitic words for the word peace. So peace be upon you all. As we start this program today, we have a jam-packed program. Thank you so much for tuning in once again today. For those of you that are watching, if you could please invite your friends, share this program, share the link, send it to them. They may tune in. We have a returning guest, which I won't call a guest, really, a brother of, also a family member of this program, of course, none other than the hero that we all know and we love. He is a former Arizona House member and combat veteran, one of our heroes, who will be announcing something here today. I know he's already announced it, but I'll let him announce it. I just want to welcome him to the program. Welcome to the program, Representative Walt Blackman.
Thanks for having me, Mona. It's really good to be back on. I mean, you run a terrific news outlet, and it's great information that comes out of your show. So I'm proud of you, and we're all proud of you up north, and we're rooting for you and always praying for you.
Well, thank you so much. I really need those prayers. And as I have always said, Rep, we don't do much breaking news here. We don't break the news, but we break down the news and we give a perspective that hopefully that is a little bit unique and a viewpoint coming. And as many of you know, and as you know, Rep, I'm a legal immigrant that traveled to this country, escaping the country of Iraq. With my family. So hopefully that we can do justice to the news and give a perspective that's not already out there.
Yeah. And I mean, you've demonstrated what right looks like when a person comes to this country, when they assimilate to, the values and the cultural here, and you're able to keep your mother tongue and your culture from back home. And, I'm really proud of you. And, I mean, you are a terrific example for those that are coming to this country and how and what they should do to become a citizen. So.
Well, thank you. I'm not here to talk about me. We're here because I wanted to have you on the program once again and I do want to give you a proper introduction, but I want you to announce here on the program. It's going to be the first time that we're announcing it here. What is the plan for your future right now, Rep?
Well, thanks for letting me do it on your show. I am actually officially registered to run for my former seat. It is now LD7, so I'm running for the Arizona House of Representatives. And I want to continue to work that I started, and that's work with your group and your culture and also work around the Arizona things we need to work on. Infrastructure project, water issues, road issues, the border issues, election integrity. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I'm getting ready to get back in it, rolling up my sleeves and running again. And I look forward to returning to the Arizona House of Representatives in 2024.
Well, I think you're going to have a lot more volunteers from the Assyrian community this time. Not that you didn't need it last time, but we've grown so close in the last few years. And of course, my sister. I have to always mention my sister Christy's name. Your wonderful,
Yes.
lovely wife, my
Yeah.
sister, and I always have to say my sister. And I hope she's watching. And I love her, and I love you, and I know that we are going to be, I know that there are not many constituents or not many veterans from the Assyrian community in your constituency, but we are here to support you however we can. We will stand behind you and not only endorse you, but volunteer for your campaign and do whatever it takes for you to get back in there, because we do need solid conservatives like you to pick up where they left off. And, this country needs to stand up and speak up.
I'm so thankful for your organization's endorsement. And as usual, you all go out and you do wonderful things for the community, and you've embraced me. Your community has embraced me, and I feel a responsibility to make sure that the state knows the wonderful work that you are doing and your organization is doing. And I'm going to continue to work with your organization and just make sure that people know exactly what kind of great Americans you are. So
Well,
again, thank you for your endorsement, and I carry that with pride, and I won't let you down.
you never have, Rep, and I'm sure you won't. And I know there's greater plans for you for the future as we move forward. Now, like I said, I'm going to give you a proper introduction in a few minutes because we have so much to discuss. But I did want to start this program reminding people, and sometimes we tend to see the news, and once it's out of our visual, then we go on
Yes.
with our beautiful life that we live here in America. I do want to remind people of the devastation as a result of the earthquake measuring 7.8 on the Richter scale, and many more aftershocks after that, and the devastation, of course, in Turkey and Syria. Now, many of you know that I come from Iraq, and of course, the Middle Eastern countries. Assyria was a great empire that expanded to Syria, Turkey, Iran, Iraq. So a lot of Assyrians are everywhere. But this devastation, actually, it was a devastation for all mankind, humanitarian disaster, really, for one and everyone. So, and as Fred, of course, the wonderful producer from Cinnamon Production and the producer of this program is showing you pictures right now. You can see the devastation. I contacted several embassies in America, and they directed me to the Ministry of Interior, Disaster and Emergency Management Presidency, of course, relating to Turkey. Now, what do we know about the earthquake in Turkey as of right now? The epicenter of the earthquake was located north of Gaziantep, Turkish province capital, but it was felt in Cairo, Egypt. It was felt in, I believe, in Lebanon. It was felt in several countries, and it sent residents from Damascus fleeing into streets. It was a rude awakening to the people of Beirut as well. The earthquake caused devastation in an area already affected by more than 10 years of civil war in Syria. On the Syrian side, the area is divided between territory controlled by the government and the last enclave, of course, in the hands of the opposition. Turkey, for its part, welcomes millions of refugees from that conflict. Rescuers and residents continue to search under the rubble among the piles and piles of twisted metal and concrete blocks. A hospital has collapsed in Turkey, and patients, including newborns, have been evacuated from a handful of centers in Syria as well. Syria is more resistant to allow the outside help to come in because, for the obvious divide that's in the country, but not so much in Turkey. Turkey is accepting, and I was reading the news and I'm seeing that a lot of countries around the world, of course, the United States leading, were going to Turkey to vote to help. Now, both countries, as we mentioned, are refugee camps. People that come to Turkey and are in Syria are usually people that belong neither here nor there. Here is a personal heart wrenching story that I just found out about 2 days ago of a woman that we will be remembering in Mass in our church here in Phoenix this coming Sunday. Her name is Sadrita Fasha, 40 years old, and her son, Ibrahim Fasha, 6 years old, who both died in the events of this earthquake. And Rep, I want you, this is where I tell you that this is a kind of perspective that many people might not have, or stories that I say we launched this program so that we can tell stories of people that are oppressed and that are hurting, that are dying without a voice that can be heard. This woman is a widow with 6 children. She left Iraq for obvious reasons. She went to the refugee camp in Syria, where it became too dangerous for her and her children. Her mother, who lives here in the state, helped her get to Turkey, where, for the most part, it is much safer for her to wait there while her immigration paperwork are being processed. And the key word here, Rep, is wait, because we've got our borders here in America, those that are on the southern borders, being invaded by illegal immigration and being let in as if they own us, and having this invasion of illegal immigration when
Yeah,
you've
I'm
got
getting an enemy
someone
real
like
quick.
this. Yeah. And so here's the thing. During the earthquake in Turkey, she died along with one of her sons, Ibrahim, but another son was found in the rubble alive. However, both of his legs are broken. The guardian
Mm.
now for this family is a 16-year-old son who's the eldest of the children. The government of Turkey, of course, is doing all they can for all the victims, but I wanted to bring you a personal touch or a personal story of what's going on in that situation. At this point, their lives will forever be shattered. And I also want to mention that a few days ago, we heard, I think yesterday, there was a soccer player by the name of Christian Atsu, who plays for the
Yeah.
Turkey League, but also for the Ghana national team. It was reported that he was under the rubble and he was found alive. But unfortunately, up until now, today's story, I'm not sure if anyone has any other update on that. But as of today, this beautiful young man is still missing, and they are still looking for him. So devastation beyond anything that we can comprehend, devastation beyond, you know, beyond anything that really that we can say or pronounce to describe. Your reaction, Representative Blackman.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with me. Look, I mean, in perspective, when we see this type of tragedy that hits anywhere in the country, it makes what we are going through here in the United States with our political vitriol, a little bit micro, if you will, because you have people that have lost their lives. I believe 21,000 people have died. You've got the 12 babies that were rescued, and that's a wonderful thing. And they were taken out of the epicenter and by caregivers. And I got to tell you, the I am really proud how the United States has stepped up, and they have sent a fleet of C-17s from the United States Air Force over to Turkey to assist in the recovery of people, and also just to give basic aid to those folks. The young lady you were talking about, there are so many stories out there where folks have fled Iraq and they are waiting to move on through the system, and a lot of those folks, believe it or not, have family here in the United States, and it is the paperwork, the bureaucracy that is holding them up. And it just makes me wonder if we just did not work a little faster, maybe this young lady would have been able to make her way to the United States if that was her destination, and do away with a lot of bureaucracy. We know that Iraq
Yeah.
is still a war torn country, and those folks that are fleeing, a lot of them uh, helped the military, helped the United States military, and they
Yes.
are stranded there. So I think we should do everything we can to try to get those folks out, and we don't have other tragedies like the one we see or happened to this young lady as a result of the earthquake.
This is not to say that I am differentiating between one or another, but I mean, this is just so it can hit home for a lot of people. These are normal people that are going about their lives. She's a mother trying to do the best for her children and wanting to get her children in safety. But here she is, before she can reach her goal of getting her children to safety, she loses her life. And not only loses her life, but of course, losing a 6-year-old that was with her, and of course the soccer player, which we, in the last few weeks we were watching the the World Cup, and we all can relate watching these wonderful players, healthy and so famous, and so I mean, we can say their names. My son knows all of them, and so we can relate to this human being, and have a human touch, have a human reaction to the fact that we need to help. And so for those of you that are I mean, I'm not going to give you organizations, because I'm not working with any organization really to tell you who or what to go to, but find an organization, if you don't mind, and donate, because right now they need help. They need financial help. I'm sure any country that's helping Turkey, Syria, they're all war torn. I mean, they're all facing their conflicts as they go. So please find an organization that you can trust, and that you believe that your support and your donations will go to the right place. And as you mentioned, Rep, I know that America will always reach out to help through the many charitable organizations, but we wanted to give you the human side again, individual side of the story. One great example is you, our great hero. Again, I'm not going to call you a guest. You're a veteran who served in the United States Army, who sacrificed to protect and serve. And you are still, as you announced today and as you have in the past, served this country on the battlefield and off the battlefield. And I think we have a segment of what you just mentioned, where the military is actually getting ready to head out to Turkey to try to help. If we have that video, Fred.
Çekemiyor oğlum. Çekecek bir şey olsa çekerik de. شباب اسعاف وين الاسعاف؟
DoD transported 2 civilian urban search and rescue teams from the United States to Turkey. U.S. Transportation Command supported this movement Tuesday via C-17 from Dover Air Force Base and March Air Force Base to Incirlik Air Base in Turkey. And those teams arrived on February 8th and will soon begin aiding the relief efforts there.
As you can see, that effort is just tremendous, and we are so thankful for the United States of America. This is the reflection that we want the world to see. And this is the America that comes to the aid of the world, not policing, not, but it is this kind of humanitarian help that we are known for. And this is why there are immigrants that are flocking our border, wanting to come to this great country. God bless America truly. And God bless you for serving this country, sir. And thank you for your service.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Look, I was involved with a number of peacekeeping operations throughout my time in the military. I did peacekeeping and human recovery in Kosovo twice and Bosnia, and of course the recent war that we were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. However, the most fulfilling professionally for me was the peacekeeping operations as we did in Kosovo. And these young men and women that are serving today, they are still doing that and upholding the traditions of the military to extend the olive branch rather than extend the sword to be able to help these folks in need. Turkey is in need. 21,000 people were killed as a result of the earthquake. There's hundreds of thousands more probably injured or buried beneath some of the rubble there. And it's
Yes.
important that not only the United States get out there and help them, but the rest of the world get out there and help them.
This is a time when we need to come together as a world and lend a hand as human beings, and understand suffrage. And so it is wonderful to see this world coming together seriously on this earthquake. And that number, I chose not to give out the number of how many that have perished, because I know that number will climb. Climb tremendously as more and more. And by the way, I did get a little piece of information with Sidrita, this woman that just died with her son. They said that because there are so many that have perished, people. I mean, I don't want to even compare it to the graves that were dug in many other different types of atrocities, but they were mass graves that were dug, and she was one, and with her little son that was buried in those mass graves. That obviously, I mean, what could the government do? I mean, that's where we are. So, I mean, it's a devastation beyond, like I said, the imagination of our minds. But having said all of that, we pray for them. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, and we will continue to raise our voices to rally support and, of course, donate as we can. And I strongly recommend and suggest that everyone do the same. Please, if we're not obviously going to be able to go there. If you're able to go and volunteer, that's wonderful. But if you're not, let's have our money, our purse, if we can, to donate and to help out and to extend that helping hand. Now, we want to move on, Representative, and I keep calling you Representative. I know is a former position of yours, but as many of you have seen, we've had Representative Walt Blackman on our program. But let me give him a proper introduction. He's a combat veteran and a former Arizona House of Representative member. He's announced, as you heard right now, that he's running for the state legislature in Legislative District 7, which used to be 6. So now it's 7.
Yes, it's 7.
Blackman
It's
has
LD 7 now.
Blackman has a record of service in both the military and politics and plans to use the experience to improve the lives of Arizonans. He is committed to using his skills to make a difference in his community. And of course, there is his QR card. For more information about Walt Blackman's campaign or to volunteer, please visit waltblackman4ld7.com. You can also follow him on Facebook, on Twitter, and media inquiries you can do on info at, and if you go on his website, actually, I'm going to say waltblackman4ld7.com. But if you go onto his website, you'll get all that information. Once again, it is wonderful to have you back. I can't wait to start running with you and, for a successful campaign, which already I'm predicting you are going to win, and looking forward to working with you once again.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. I do appreciate you, Mona. Once it gets in your blood, it's really hard to get out when you're really doing the service of the people. It's
Yeah.
really hard to put
Yeah.
down. Christy and I had to really say a prayer And we always came up with the same answer from God: to get back in there and to serve the community, and not just LD7, but serve the entire state. And I think that's what we need here in Arizona. We need the type of leadership that can navigate through all the noise on both sides, and show some sort of civility through leadership, and through example, by making sure that good policy is passed here in Arizona, ensuring that our schools are funded, our borders are protected, and also, the underlying issues here in Arizona, like the fentanyl that's coming through our borders, and the internet infrastructure as we need up north, and the road construction and water, so on and so forth. There are so many other issues that we need to be working on here in Arizona, and I'm ready to get back to work. I'm ready to get back to the Arizona House and actually roll up my sleeves and really help this state out.
And to quote President Joe Biden, who recently in his State of the Union address, he kept saying, "Let's get the work done. Let's get the job done." So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. So having said that, let's together watch a little montage, a little clip of these State of the Union speech, and let's see if we can discuss it on some of the points that he mentioned and what he didn't mention, and get your reaction on that. Let's go ahead and watch.
My administration has cut the deficit by more than $1.7 trillion, the largest deficit reduction in American history. Under the previous administration, the American deficit went up 4 years in a row. Because those record deficits, no president added more to the national debt in any 4 years than my predecessor. Nearly 25% of the entire national debt that took over 200 years to accumulate was added by just one administration alone, the last one. They're the facts. Check it out. Check it out. How did Congress respond to that debt? They did the right thing. They lifted the debt ceiling 3 times without preconditions or crisis. They paid American bills to prevent an economic disaster in the country. So tonight I'm asking the Congress to follow suit. Let's commit here tonight to the full faith and credit of the United States of America will never, ever be questioned. Some of my Republican friends want to take the economy hostage. I get it, unless I agree to their economic plans. All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. Look, folks, the idea is that we're not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if we don't respond. Folks,
Unbelievable. I wanted to show that that clip only because, obviously, of the Congresswoman Marjorie Greene that stood up, and obviously you can read her lips, called the president basically a liar. And you see Kevin McCarthy in the background shaking his head. No, that's not what's going on. And so you have accusations in the face of all of the members of our government. One side, I mean, how split was that room?
Yeah, that's where our country's at right now, and Arizona is a microcosm of that. And unfortunately, on both sides, the State of the Union is supposed to be about bringing the country together, and unifying the country. And in that space right there, you would think that they would at least try to do that. When the president talked about reducing the deficit by $1.7 trillion, that's great. However, he didn't talk about when during the Obama administration, when the deficit increased, 3 times as much as he was talking about tonight. And then just throwing the other party under the bus. I mean, that's not unity. That's not leadership to me. That's not bringing the country back together. We need to concentrate on some of the things that we have done together as a country, and in bringing Americans together. The heckling from the balcony, I guess, from some of the representatives that are there. Look, if you don't respect the guy, you should respect the office of the president of the United States, regardless of who is in that seat, because
Yes.
that's an office of esteem, and the office should be respected. There are ways you can talk about your differences, and as we've done it in the House of Representatives here in Arizona, there's ways to do it. Unfortunately, though, the accusation that there were some Republicans that were looking to kind of sunset Social Security. There is an actual tape of a representative actually using that as a campaign platform, and it was played on national TV and aired. And unfortunately, that part is true. So I think we need more transparency in DC. We need more transparency in our politics, and then when we were talking about policy, we shouldn't touch Social Security. That should be in no man's land over there.
Yeah.
We need to improve
Absolutely.
it, but sunsetting it is not the answer, and then having this divisiveness is not the proper response for our nation's leaders.
I seem to think, I don't know why, I don't want to compare the president's speech to anything else, but I'm sure one listens to, historically what was said. I know that people were accusing the president of plagiarism because they seem to have likened or similarities to what former President Trump was talking about. Things like the forgotten man. I get it. I feel you. For example, things like bringing jobs back from overseas. These were things that were truly, great to hear, but they were heard from President Trump. Made in America. Everything that we want to build, infrastructure, anything the government uses, any materials that the government uses, we want it to be made in America. I saw him pandering to the Republican Party. My colleagues at our brothers or whatever on the Republican side, we need to work together. But on the same side, you can hear the divisiveness in his language. He talked about unity, but it wasn't really a unifying message. Now, in one area that when he started talking, he said, "Folks, the story of America, story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward, of never giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it." Now, that is so true, and I agree completely with that statement. However, the the animosity and the attacks are no longer coming from the outside. We see an infiltration of the enemy as if we are sitting in the in the chambers of our government, and yet we see two sides that are truly divided to the point where not only, I remember when they used to sit at a table back when and be able to agree to disagree. Now it's pure hate, and we can
Exactly.
feel it. So those
Exactly. You can
words
feel it from your
ring
TV
true.
sets.
Yeah, those words ring true, but are they true? And can that divide be filled?
The last time we had a divide like this was during the Civil War, and they pulled out the muskets, and that wasn't a good ending for anybody, even though the Union
Yeah.
won. Here, look, we can't continue to go down this road. I got to tell you, if I saw my kids acting the way that some of those folks acted in that chamber, there would be consequences with that. And you and I are both parents. We know what
Yes.
right looks like. The In order for us to get on the road to recovery, after this vitriol that's going on, we really need to come together. It doesn't mean we need to agree with their policies, because some of their policies are just straight, just terrible, like lack of border security and so on and so forth. The deal is that we are all Americans, and we have to remember that. And we fall under a sacred document called the Constitution of the United States, and that protects us. And if we're not following that document, if we are not moving forward as a country, we are going to find ourselves in a situation like the Roman Empire found itself.
Yeah.
And if you notice, the president talked about during his campaign bringing people together, bringing the country together. But it's obvious that the Democrats are using the divide within the Republican Party as an opportunity to continue to make a wedge that's bigger than the Grand Canyon. So, as a party, a Republican Party, we need to make sure that we fix ourselves within. And then, as a country, we need to be able to sit down at the table and listen to the other side, but also respectively disagree with some of their policies. And if we don't do that, we are going to continue to go down this road of failure. And we are going to see events like we saw January 6th of 2020, when police officers who were just doing their job they were being attacked and 2 were killed. And it's unfortunate where we're at.
Yeah, it really truly is. Now, one of the things I also picked up when he was speaking, these ideas, like he said, when we've heard them from President Trump, it was as if it was a new idea for him. He was just coming up with it. For example, when he says, jobs are coming back, pride is coming back because of choice we made in the last several years. Jobs are coming back because I remember President Trump putting such a strain on companies that were moving out. He was giving them incentives to stay here. He was incentivizing them. He was bringing back, as this says, bringing back pride. I started seriously during that time. I started, and this is this is nothing against any country, but I'm proud of the fact that I started watching labels that were made in America and started using American or made in America labels. And so that became truly a new way, or a new way to adapt things or adjust things, because everything we had bought were made in China, made in Taiwan, made in this and that. And that's great, of course, to have to be able to buy from other countries. But at the same time, we had completely lost made in America. So the made in America product was completely gone. And President Biden right now is talking about as if he's just coming up with it.
Yeah.
Why not build
Well,
over your predecessor? Why not build over
exactly.
that rather than make it your idea, which of course he's gaining the title of plagiarizing.
You're exactly right. Look, the Biden administration is riding on the wave of the Trump administration's successful economic plan. When you have unemployment that's down, home buying was up, Black home ownership was up. He started the economy on a direction that was full recovery by placing America first and making sure that products that were made in America stayed in America and they were bought in America.
Yes.
You don't have to like the guy personally, but you can't argue with his policies. His policies made America stronger. It made our economy stronger, and as a result of that, we see more people in jobs. We see more people that are in their homes. We see crime rate that is down. And typically, when an administration does a handoff like that, and particularly like in 4 years, without the president doing the total weight, the predecessor, the person coming in usually reaps the benefits of the hard work that was done. President Trump, he did a lot of good work for the company or for the country, and he,
Yes.
again, the economy was moving, and look at Arizona. We had a surplus of $2 billion last year on an annual budget of $10 billion, and it is because of some of the decisions that were made through the Trump administration.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I thought he was going to take some time to speak about, of course, the two things that are, of course, that hits home for us here in Arizona and for many people in the country is fentanyl coming through the border, and of course, illegal immigration, and our open border. He didn't speak much about that. Didn't have much to say, or success maybe there. And you saw the members of Congress get up and just screaming out of their chairs, which I agree with you. There should be a self control, and there should be, you're our House of Congress, for God's sake, and we expect a lot more from you. But at the same time, it's the frustration that you're feeling from both sides. And let's not forget today, I was reading an article that said the Republican Party is going to regret the outbreak of Representative Marjorie Greene. They will learn to regret it. I went back, and I hate this back and forth, but have we forgotten who was sitting behind President Trump as the Speaker of the House at that time, and took the speech and tore it up? Did we forget that? And did the Democrats regret that? If nothing, they applauded her for that.
Yeah, how soon the Democrats forget the things that they do, and it's surprising. I'm glad you brought up the subject of fentanyl. I mean, if you have open borders, we are going to have that. It's particularly here in Arizona. We are seeing young people that are getting that drug by mistake or by accident, or they're doing it intentionally, and people are dying from that. We have some real issues in this country. We have some real issues in Arizona. Our borders are not secure. Our law enforcement, their hands are tied when we're talking about they are trying to stop the flow of fentanyl, not to mention the human trafficking that is going through. Look, great to you that you're riding on the wave that President Trump started with his economic plan. However, there are some real problems in this country, and we need real leadership at this time. And leadership, to me, does not look like a back and forth and a gotcha. And that's what I saw during the State of the Union last night on both sides. So I think Americans are really sick and tired of seeing our elected officials bicker back and forth when they have serious work to do. And that work requires pulling up the sleeves and really getting to work and fixing the issues that are happening now. We still have high gas prices. He mentioned that the economy is softening and that those prices are going down. That's an untrue statement. You can fact check that. Food prices are still up. Eggs still cost in some parts of the country almost $7 a carton. Milk is still going up. People cannot afford what's going on in the economy today. Housing buying is up. I talked to a friend of mine the other day. They are young professionals, make pretty good money, and they can't even buy a home. So they're not addressing the core issues that are going on in our country. I think those issues need to be addressed. They need to be targeted. And we need real leadership to take them on, not the back and forth that we've been seeing on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, and he did talk about the border a little bit on in his speech, and let me read that. It says, "And let's come together on immigration," and then of course, everybody's applauding. Let's make it a bipartisan issue once again. It's almost like I'm going to continue to read, but I don't know how to respond to this. We know we now have a record number of personnel working to rescue the border, arresting 8,000 human smugglers, seizing over 23,000 pounds of fentanyl in just the last several months. We've launched a new border plan last month. Unlawful migration from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela have come down 97% as a consequence of that. Who is he talking to?
I think he's talking to somebody on the moon because, recently that number has actually skyrocketed. Now, they may have arrested that many people and seized that much drugs. However, the increase of traffic is the problem. Particularly here in the southern border of Arizona, the sheriff's departments do not have the resources that they need, and it doesn't help when INS does the catch and release. And so when there's no borders and it is open season here in the United States, particularly here in Arizona, it's really, really hard and disheartening to hear a president say that border security is actually working when it is doing the opposite. We are seeing an increased foot traffic across our borders, fentanyl, as you said, and human trafficking, which is a tragedy that
Yeah.
needs to stop. And if the federal government is not going to do it, then they need to allow the states to act on their own, using their own sovereignty to protect their southern borders. And when I get back into office, that's one of my priorities, is to make sure our borders are protected.
And I know that one of the major issues for you that hits home is abortion. And let me read to
Yes.
you what he says here. He says, make no mistake about it. If Congress passes a national ban, I will veto it. And of course, he's referring to abortion. What's your reaction
Yeah.
to that?
Well, it's if he bans that piece of legislation, what the Democrats, you'll see they'll do is they will send a piece of legislation that authorizes abortion nationally, and we see that. We saw that. We heard that during the State of the State with Governor Hobbs. She is on a approach to eliminate the statute that's in Arizona statute that criminalizes hurting or killing an unborn baby. Look, I got it. There are folks on the left that believe that women's health is infanticide, and it is not. It is basically murder. And then there are people on the right, as myself, who are strong pro-life advocates, as yourself, that want to protect the unborn and want to protect those children in the womb. How do we get to the middle on something like that? It's going to be pretty tough. However, you can't counsel one side, as the president did in his State of the Union last night, and said that you're automatically going to veto any type of legislation that bans it. Let's turn it over to the states. That's why the Supreme Court actually lifted Roe v. Wade. It was an antiquated decision that was made by the Supreme Court, and they, in their writings, sent it back to the states. States have laws on their books that protect babies and the unborn, and we need to do that. We are a sovereign state, and the president needs to let the states handle this.
Yeah, and it's and I'm smiling because here I have another little segment here that I'm going to read, which is a Trump wannabe or Trump like speech. Before I came to office, the story was about how the People's Republic of China was increasing its power and America was failing in the world. Not anymore. We made it clear, and I made it clear in my personal conversation, which have been many with President Xi, that we seek competition and not conflict. But I will make no apologies that we're investing and to make America stronger. Maybe make America great. Was that what he was saying?
Absolutely.
So okay.
Absolutely.
So where is holding China for COVID, for spreading COVID? Where is are we afraid still? Where is the blowing up of these the balloon that was flying in our sovereign airspace for how many days before we figured out that we need to blow that up? And so a lot of people are talking about debris and things like that. This is a matter of security that needs to be eliminated right away. And so we've got China, as President Trump used to say, China. Everybody imitates him by saying China. He brought it into the visual. It was Trump talking about the threat of China that woke America up to understand Made in China is taking over Made in America.
You're absolutely right. When we talk about our national debt, there's a portion of that is actually held by China and Japan, which is a large amount of dollars that we need to be concerned about. However, we look at it, we're in an election year, and the Democrats they're not stupid. They're trying to go after that middle base, which are independent voters, that land somewhere in the middle, wanting to protect our sovereignty and our country, and also wanting to make sure that there is still some Trump type of rhetoric in some of these speeches. He's going after that base, and he's going to do that during this election. And as long as a Republican Party, we don't get ourselves together, they are going to continue to infiltrate that middle ground base, independent voters who are leaning hard right. However, they do think that some of their policies on the other side of the aisle work for them. And that's what they're going after. And then you can hear in his speech last night during the State of the Union. That's what they're doing. He is getting ready for the 2024 election, and his advisors, his team, they have put him on a course to grab that middle base, and they're going to continue to do that unless we get someone to stand up, lead, and take that away from them.
Yeah. And just to kind of get the number, I was looking for that number of fentanyl, just to go back to that. It's so important by the border. 70,000 Americans die a year. And most of them I know are young. And one of them, and every program that I have, and they talk about fentanyl, I will not stop mentioning my best friend's only son, who she every year celebrates his birthday or the day he died, or whatever celebration there is, to mention his name. Nicholas Kiliana, my best friend's son, died as a result of that. And my children, who had to be the pallbearers to their brother, that was their brother, there was best friend, that was their brother, will never forget that experience. So the fentanyl not only kills those people that basically die and pass on to the next world, but they kill families, and they kill friendships, and they kill societies along with it. And so Nicholas Kiliana is one of those 70,000 people that died of that. And President Biden, please secure the border, because we need a country without a border is not a country, is not a sovereign country. It's just unbelievable.
Exactly.
And I want to get, I heard Governor Sarah Huckabee, who gave the Republican response, and I loved her response. And I want to share about 3.5 minutes of it, if you don't mind, and get your reaction on the other end. Yeah.
I'm Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Being a mom to 3 young children taught me not to believe every story I hear. So forgive me for not believing much of anything I heard tonight from President Biden. From out of control inflation and violent crime to the dangerous border crisis and threat from China, Biden and the Democrats have failed you. They know it, and you know it. And it's time for a change. Tonight, let us reaffirm our commitment to a timeless American idea that government exists not to rule the people, but to serve the people. Democrats want to rule us with more government control, but that's not who we are. America is the greatest country the world has ever known, because we're the freest country the world has ever known, with a people who are strong and resilient. 5 months ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. It was a hard time for our family, particularly our kids, Scarlett, Huck, and George. But we kept our faith and persevered. Thanks to exceptional doctors here in Arkansas, a successful surgery, and the grace of God, I am cancer-free. Through it all, I couldn't help but think about my mom. She was 20 years old and in her first year of marriage when she was diagnosed with spinal cancer. The doctors told her she might not live, and if she did live, they said she'd never walk again. And if she did walk, she'd definitely never have children. The daughter she was told she'd never have was just sworn in as the new governor of Arkansas and is speaking to you tonight. Adversity and fear of the unknown can paralyze us, but faith propels us to charge boldly ahead. We can't stand still in the face of great challenges. You and I were put on this earth for such a time as this, to charge boldly ahead. I'll be the first to admit, President Biden and I don't have a lot in common. I'm for freedom, he's for government control. At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country. And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history. I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is. In the radical left's America, Washington taxes you and lights your hard-earned money on fire. But you get crushed with high gas prices, empty grocery shelves, and our children are taught to hate one another on account of their race, but not to love one another or our great country. Whether Joe Biden believes this madness or is simply too weak to resist it, his administration has been completely hijacked by the radical left. The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy. It's time for a new generation of Republican leadership. Upon taking office just a few weeks ago, I signed executive orders to ban CRT, racism, and indoctrination in our schools, eliminate the use of derogatory term Latinx in our government, repealed COVID orders, and said never again to authoritarian mandates and shutdowns. Americans want common sense from their leaders, but in Washington, the Biden administration is doubling down on crazy. President Biden inherited the fastest economic recovery on record, the most secure border in history, cheap, abundant, homegrown energy, fast rising wages, a rebuild.
Doubling down on crazy in Washington.
You're absolutely right. She is absolutely right.
She is.
You know, and I like that. I like that term. You know, you've got the crazy, and then you have the normal. And I've said this, many times to you. We've had conversations about this. That Americans want leadership, and they want folks to be able to get things done. And it is a new day for the Republican Party.
It's an opportunity. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. It's an opportunity. Now, that opportunity can be taken or can be lost.
Exactly. When I was looking in that chamber when President Biden was speaking, it was like and no disrespect to elderly homes, it looked like it was an elderly home in there. I mean, he can barely walk up the stairs, and that's just not him. That is the majority of the folks that are in that chamber. And the problem with that is a lot of them have lost touch with America. I wouldn't mind seeing Sarah Huckabee run for president because she's nailed a lot of the issues right on the head, and she is a person, a leader that gets it, and that's what we need. And I would put one more piece on that. Is that, we have our own crazies in our own party. However, we need to come together as a country, as a people, and get things done. And I like her message. I like what she's doing in Arkansas. And I would like to see that on a national level, it move up. So, and again, that's why I'm getting back into the fight. It's, we need common sense leadership. We need things to get done here in Arizona. And
there was a message earlier. The message earlier was we need, I think, Fred, it said, we like Sarah Huckabee. We want her for president. As you were saying that, there are others that were in agreement with you. And I see someone says we need to impeach Ginocchio. Ginocchio.
Actually, I think, Ginocchio, yeah.
Ginocchio. Yeah. So that's my brother Sargon David, who's on watching. And we have a new viewer. My sister-in-law Amira, I believe, is also watching. So we've got new people watching us. Thank you so much. And so I love her. I absolutely love her. I get so motivated when I listen to her. And I saw her speaking at one of the events that I was at, and she came out there and she was so calm and collected, and she spoke, and yet she fired everybody up. It's not a matter of screaming or being loud. It's the message. Her message resonates with the people. So exactly. I'm very. Representative, thank you so much for being on the program today. Once again, for those of you that are interested in helping Representative Walt Blackman, who's campaigning once again for his old district, we used to be a legislative district 6. Now it is 7. For those of you that want to volunteer, please visit that. You see the code on your screen. Just, you know how to do it. You just point your camera to it, and of course you go to the website, and please sign up. If you cannot volunteer physically, donate. Make a contribution, make a donation. I know the last time, not to say that I did it, and this is not to show off, but last time we had a monthly. So if it's something small, monthly donation that we gave to your campaign, and so we're going to go ahead and do that again this time to help
Thank
you
you.
out. And then, of course, we're going to try to help you out physically. Thank you so much for being the champion and the hero that you are. We love you, and we hope to have you back on the program.
Thank you, Mona. I do appreciate you. God bless you. Hi to your family. And we need to get together with our families here shortly before it gets too busy on the
We
campaign trail.
absolutely, we got to have you over for that good Assyrian food.
Oh, yes.
I won't forget that. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and tell my
God
sister I
bless you.
said hi.
I sure will.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
and thanks for having me.
Before we end the program, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to give everyone a reminder, and I want to thank you, first of all. A few weeks ago, we actually mentioned a GoFundMe for a young lady by the name of Annette Ablachat, whose sister, Yvette Ablachat, started a GoFundMe. And in that story, we asked a lot of you to go to that website to read her story. Annette is fighting cancer, and she had gotten to the point where the traditional cancer treatment was no longer working for her. And so she had gotten to a point that she was 85 pounds. So there was an alternative way of treating that cancer in Texas. But of course, her insurance was not going to cover it. And that's why the GoFundMe was actually started so that we could reach, I believe the goal was $100,000. But when they did reach that $100,000, they did shut down the GoFundMe because that's all they asked for. But there was a great demand from all of us to keep that website open because they wanted to show Yvette how much they loved her by people that wanted to continue to donate or people that hadn't had a chance to donate to be able to. Well, I just got a update on her condition. She did go to Texas. I believe she did get the treatment. I don't know how the treatment went, but she is home. And we were asked, or it was requested by us, because we did tell them that we've been praying and that we were rallying support and prayers for her. It was requested that we ask all of you to continue to pray for her because we don't know how that treatment went, but she did get her treatment in Texas. We will know soon. I will continue to follow this story and to bring you an update on our sister, Annette Ablachat, who's a young woman still struggling and still fighting cancer. So we want to ask you to please pray as we all bow our heads today and we just say a simple prayer to say, Lord, we extend our prayers and we lift up Annette today once again as we did before. In the name of Jesus, we pray that this new treatment truly gives her the hope and the cure that she is looking for, and that we will continue to stand in agreement to ask this all in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So thank you very much for always actually listening and to find it in your heart to support, endorse whatever it is that we bring to your attention. God will bless you. And it might not be in this in a particular way, but it will be a way that will surprise you because God will never forget. Even if as we say, man, God is not a man that he may lie, and God is Almighty and He's sovereign and He does not forget and He does bless. And so we're hoping for Annette's full recovery. In the name of Jesus. And once again, thank you so much for tuning into the program. We love you. We hope to see you next week. Shlama. And goodbye.
America Fest. So we are very honored to be here. We're going to be covering it. It's a summit that's going to take place for the next 4 days.